This is my second episode for my new playlist here in YouTube and also on Apple Podcasts that is really more geared toward helping men who have gone through either a breakup or a divorce. I got some hate in my comments for the last episode, just trying to help the men who are looking for help. So if you are happy and you're dating and you're thriving post-divorce, this might not be for you. This is for the men who want to grow, want to learn. Maybe you're struggling, maybe you're not, but you want to expand. And if you don't already know it, this is Pulling Threads, Weaving Authenticity. I'm Leslie. I am a therapist, a coach, a former attorney. I specialize in divorce, breakup, and relationships. And this is For the Boys, episode 2. Today, we are talking about something the men's content space, I feel, gets dramatically wrong over and over again. And I want to offer a different perspective. We're going to talk about the phrase masculine energy because it has been chewed up so thoroughly by the dating coach industrial complex that I almost don't even want to use it. But there is a real thing underneath the noise around masculine energy. And it is the difference between a man women keep going back to and a man that women politely never see again. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about that honestly and through my lens as a therapist, a coach, a woman who's been in the dating world, who's divorced, who's gone through and met different types of men, and who has many, many, many friends who have been very active in the dating space. So here's the thing. A woman's nervous system is constantly scanning the men around her for safety. Whether you like that or not, that's the truth. And not necessarily physical safety exclusively, nervous system safety. Okay, so that means what each individual woman's nervous system considers safe. That's going to be based on her life experiences, and every woman is different. Some women had lots of men in their life that were safe, and some had none. So when you are entering into the dating space, that's something that you have to take into consideration. Can her body settle in your presence? Or does it say brace? Is your state regulated? Or is she going to have to manage you? If she falls apart in front of you, will you stay or will you flinch? If she has a desire or a need and she states it, will you receive it or will you make her pay for it later? Or will you become defensive? These scans are looking for all of those things, and they happen way below language. They're not actively, consciously thinking about it. She's not making a list. Her body isn't asking her permission. By the time you've been in a room with a woman for 7 minutes, her nervous system has already filed a report on you. As my therapist used to say, we're collecting information. One of the things she used to point out that I didn't fully understand at that time was by collecting information, she didn't just mean, what did he tell you? You know, what does he do? How tall is he? What does he look like? Is he great in bed? That wasn't the important information. My therapist was asking me, how does it feel in your body? Do you have butterflies? Do you feel excited? Do you feel nervous? Do you feel calm? When you touch him, does your body relax or does it light up? These are all nervous system signs because remember, the most important things are held in our body below conscious level. So this is what I think a lot of the people in the men's space are missing. The thing women are actually looking for is not great big biceps. It's not more money. It's not more confidence in a way that gets sold to you. It's not better game. It's not the game. It's a particular state of nervous system, specifically yours, settled. in your own body and not asking her to manage it. What does that mean? And how does it play into this whole idea of masculine energy? If you have been lucky enough to read G.S. Youngblood's book, Masculine in Relationship, this is the territory he is pointing at. He calls it presence. I would call it a regulated state or ground. The vocabulary is different, but the phenomenon is the same. A man whose nervous system has somewhere to live other than her, that is what reads as safe. The content that falls into a man's algorithm might fail, okay? Most of it is trying to teach you to perform state. Stand like this, speak like this, hold eye contact for this long, don't react like this, slow your speech down maybe. And those things might downstream. And look, those things might be downstream of the state, but you cannot get to the state by performing them. Because here's what women's nervous systems do. They detect performance instantly. So if you are trying to perform based on another YouTube channel telling you this is how you need to act in her presence, a woman is going to detect that performance almost instantly. And they read performance as a threat. So again, I'm not talking to the skilled players who've been doing this for years right now. I'm talking to the men who are new to the dating space, post-divorce. They were in a long-term marriage and now they're being thrust back into the world and they don't know what to do. So they're scrolling YouTube and looking for an answer. Like, how do I make women feel safe? How do I show up? And I'm telling you, it can't be a performance. A man trying to look grounded is by definition ungrounded. He's using his attention to manage how he appears instead of using his attention to be present. Presence is key. Her body knows every time. This, I don't want to be misinterpreted by women listening to this. There are men who know how to perform and they've been doing it for so long that you may not be able to detect when they're performing because they've got it down to a science. I know because my own boyfriend had 20 years of dating and playing the game and doing these things. So there was no detecting the performance in him because it was no longer a performance, it was habit. There's a difference. So you can't fake your way into a state, but you have to become the state. But there are men who might not really be grounded, but they are so good at it because they've been faking it for years. So hope that isn't confusing things right now. But for the men who are trying to show up, who are new into dating, and they are trying to figure out how to make a woman comfortable, it's going to be by being grounded, not acting grounded. That makes sense. So what is a woman scanning for? There are 4 things. Listen to all 4 before you start grading and scoring yourself. First, can you be with your own feelings without being run by them? Can you feel angry without getting volatile? Can you feel sad without going into a hole she has to drag you out of? Can you feel rejected without retaliating? Can you feel jealous without making her feel small? The capacity to feel without being commandeered by that feeling is rarer than you think it is. It's also non-negotiable for most women. If your feelings drive the bus, she will spend the entire relationship managing your nervous system instead of being in her own. And eventually, she'll leave. Or she'll stay and become a shell of herself. Neither of those are what you want. So, you're going to have to get in touch with your own emotions and understand your own nervous system and This series of videos is going to help you with that. Second, can you hold her feelings without flinching or fixing? This is so hard for men, and I understand. You were taught that your role in this world and in these relationships is to fix. When a woman falls apart in front of you, you have four options. You can collapse with her, get more upset than she is, and make it about you. You can fix her, jump straight to the solutions before she's done feeling. You can dismiss her and tell her she's overreacting, or you can stay. Most men were never taught the fourth option, staying, without trying to make it stop. That's where your masculine work is. It's also what almost no woman has ever experienced consistently. And it's what most of them are quietly, often unconsciously searching for. However, a lot of women don't know how that's going to feel and that it's going to feel safe and comfortable. So we are used to men jumping in and fixing and trying to save the day, even when we don't want it. We oftentimes don't realize we don't want that until it's already happened or been attempted. The problem comes in when a man is being, let's say the woman is confiding in him. I'm going to use myself as an example. I have confided in my boyfriend that things are troubling in my business or overwhelming in my business, and I didn't know how to make a decision. He's not equipped to help me fix, understand, or figure out the answer to those problems. And so we have had to work through, and he has had to learn, and I have had to learn that when I'm sharing things about my business that are frustrating or challenging in any way, that he is just going to have to listen. I don't need him to fix. He can't fix it. He doesn't know how. And what happens to his system when he thinks he needs to fix is that he becomes overwhelmed very quickly, and he can't do the emotions because he feels like he's failing me. So we have to understand and have conversations about sometimes I want to vent. Sometimes I want to tell you the hard things that are happening with my business. But I don't want you to take on the burden of trying to fix them. It's my job as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a therapist, whatever capacity the problem is in. It's my job to find a person to help me fix it or find the answer myself. But I also do want him to hold space for me. So you see, it is more challenging than it sounds. I want him to hold space. I want him to listen. I'm a big hugger. I love physical touch. I might just want to lay on his chest, tell him about it, and then just lay on his chest. And I just really want him to say, that's a lot, babe. That's a lot. Let me hold you. Let me buy you a drink. Let me whatever. But I don't want him to feel like it's his job to fix it because he isn't capable. And then that makes him feel bad about himself. I don't want that, because then what I was saying before, then it becomes all about him. He falls apart. So now I've got all my stuff to do and to figure out. And now I have to take care of him because he feels bad about himself. It's not what we want. That doesn't feel safe. We just want you to listen sometimes, okay? Unless I come to him and say, honey, I have this problem and I want you to help me problem solve. Or maybe I'm looking at this from the wrong perspective. Can I share it with you? And you just share back what you're hearing? Because I might be being unreasonable in this situation. Okay, so unless I ask, I don't want you to fix. I just want you to hold space. This is hard, all right? And most men don't know this stuff, and most women don't either. And so that's when we get into trouble. Okay, I think you get it. Third, do you have a life that's yours? Not your job or only your job, not your hobbies exactly, a relationship with your own existence, a direction, a sense of what you're doing on the planet that does not depend on her saying yes to you. Women are not, despite the internet telling you something different, looking for a man with a mission. They're looking for a man whose center of gravity lives inside him. The mission is downstream of that. Without the center of gravity, you can have a 6-figure salary and a 4-day workout split, and she'll still feel correctly that you're looking for her to fill something, and her body will brace. If she feels like she has to fill you up and complete you, that is going to set her nervous system off, right? She doesn't want you. She doesn't want to be the center of your universe that has to hold you together. Fourth, do you trust your own no and your own yes? Because if you don't, she won't either. A man who cannot say no to her cannot actually choose her. Every yes is just an inability to say no. And a man who cannot say yes from himself is just looking for permission. This is people pleasing, right? That tendency in a lot of men makes men feel unsafe. All right? They're going to make her body brace even when she likes you, even when she doesn't know why she's bracing. She's not going to trust your yes or your no because she's going to realize sometimes you're saying one or the other when you don't mean it. All right? So here is the trap. And I have to name it because I know some of you are going to listen to all of this and try to weaponize it, try to turn it into a strategy, a way to get women to like you, to choose you, to sleep with you, whatever it is. That is the same regulation hunger that we talked about in the last episode. It's just wearing a more sophisticated outfit, and it doesn't work. Women's nervous systems are even better at detecting strategic masculinity than they are at detecting performative masculinity. The whole point of regulated ground is that it doesn't need her response to be okay. The second is that you're using it to get her response. If you are using it to get her response, then you've stopped being grounded. And that state collapses on contact with the strategy. So if your reason for becoming grounded is so that women will sleep with you, they won't. The reason to do this work is that it's the work of becoming a person and the work of growing as a human. The relational benefits are byproducts, but they can't be the point. The minute they're the point, the work stops working. And you're probably thinking this is really confusing because why are you making this video to teach us how to show up grounded if we can't pretend to be grounded and have it work with women? I'm trying to tell you, you've got to do the work to be grounded and to be regulated in order to be safe for women. And the actual practice of doing that is really unsexy. You have to build a regulated nervous system that we talked about in episode 1 with walking, breathing, working out, sleeping, friendships. And this will take the pressure off of the romantic relationship. That's the foundation. Without it, none of this is available. Then you spend time in your own light until your life is genuinely yours, right? Stop running away from the silence that you're feeling and stop using women as anesthesia or drug, all right? We're talking about you letting yourself feel the things you have been outsourcing to women, to bourbon, to the gym, to work, for somebody else to manage for you. You practice staying with yourself, with your own feelings first, and eventually with someone else's. You practice your no with small things first, with a friend whose plans you don't actually want to go do, with the meeting you should have declined. You practice your yes the same way, making sure it's coming from you, not from your fear of disappointing someone. Now, I want to pause for a moment because you could say I've been a little bit hypocritical on this one part. Like, I spent the first 2.5 years of my current relationship always saying yes. And that hasn't served me well. I am now catching up in other parts of my life, making up for lost time not spent with my kids, putting more time and effort into my business because it was getting neglected. All because I was doing this very thing. I didn't feel safe enough in the relationship, in part because of my boyfriend's people-pleasing tendencies. And therefore, I always said yes too, because I was always so anxious about, if I don't say yes, what if he goes and finds someone else to do things with him? If I don't say yes, maybe he won't ask again. So I've done a tremendous amount of work on myself, and he has done a tremendous amount of work on himself for us to kind of realize that this disconnect was happening. We had other reasons that kept us together, but we've hit some rough patches because of this very thing. So it really resonates with me from both sides, because I've been on the side of like not trusting his yeses and nos because of his people-pleasing tendencies, but also knowing the feeling of desperation. In order to keep him, I always have to say yes, and I'm sacrificing myself. So I understand that this is hard, I'm trying to say. But I do think one day you do get to a point like we have, where you walk into a room and the women in the room feel something for you that they cannot articulate. Their bodies are going to relax, might lean in towards you. They want to keep talking to you, and they don't even know why. You weren't doing anything. And that's the whole point. That is the man that women come back to. The men who are grounded, who are healthy, who've done this work. They feel safe for what seems like no reason. So if you've listened to both episodes of the playlist, you've been given a real picture of the work. It's not glamorous. It's not what the internet sells, but it's the actual thing. And I want you to know, I see how much courage that it takes to listen to a woman tell you about your own interior. Most men can't do it without getting defensive. And I understand. I couldn't have either. The fact that you've stayed for 2 episodes means something about who you already are. Keep going. Find the men's group, take the walk, call the friend, stop messaging her at 11 at night. And the next time you're in a room with a woman who matters, be where you actually are. Blech. Next, in the playlist, we're going to talk about why men pick the same kind of woman over and over again. We're going to talk about attachment patterns, how your body chooses partners before your mind does, why you keep ending up across the dinner table from a slightly different version of your ex, if that's happening. And that one is going to land. If you want to keep going with this work, I'm at theloomlife.com. The link to book a call is in the show notes. And this is the work I do, typically with women, but opening up some space for men because it feels important, not only for the men in the world, but for the women in the world. The message I'm receiving is that the dating space is terrible. And the only way to improve it is for everyone to be doing this work. Until next time, thank you.